We're more bothered by the lack of talent and the skill in this movie than by the transphobia. It's a well-known fact that right-wingers cannot make good art and don't have a sense of humor. Out magazine. That is the best bit I could come up with on short notice. I can't find any of my freaking intro music. Where is it at?
3, 2, 1, 0.
You cannot subvert an enemy which doesn't want to be subverted. Subversion is the term, if you look in a dictionary or criminal code to that matter, usually is explained as a part of activity to destroy things like religion, government system, political, economical system of a country. Starting from Hollywood movie makers to professors of political science and quote-unquote experts on Soviet affairs, Kremlinologists as they call themselves. No James Bond nonsense. The rest, 85%, is always subversion, manipulation of terms. We think that subverter is a person who is going to blow up our beautiful bridges. But according to the law and law enforcement systems of the Western civilization, it's not a crime. Subversion can be only successful when the agent of subversion has a responsive target. Subverter is a student who comes for exchange, a diplomat, an actor, an artist, a journalist like myself. It's most of this activity is overt, legitimate, and easily observable if you give yourself time and trouble to observe it, which means always a destructive, aggressive activity aimed to destroy the country, nation, or geographical area of your enemy. It's a two-way traffic. United States is a receptive target of subversion.
Atop the battlements of Castle Curmudgeon, where I am pleased to announce that henceforth from today I will now be identifying as a strong, powerful, queer woman of color who don't need no man for nothing. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all ships at sea. Welcome to the Blast Radius. Here is your Decline of Western Civilization news roundup for the work week ending 1 December 2023. Dateline Anaheim, Monday, 27 November. A 26-year-old man was detained by police after stripping off all his clothes and gallivanting naked around the It's a Small World ride and its immediate environs. Officers from the Anaheim Police Department were dispatched to the scene at approximately 1:30 Monday afternoon, where they pulled the suspect from the water and were heard to remark, quote, "Wow, either that water is unusually cold or it really is a small world after all," end quote. According to a report from the intrepid journalists at KTLA Channel 5, the still unidentified subject is suspected of having been under the influence of a controlled substance. You don't say. You mean a dude stripped buck-ass naked and started frolicking in the water in the middle of goddamn Disneyland? And drugs or alcohol may have played a role? I, for one, shudder to think what we ever would do without the professional journalist class. Reached for comment? Outgoing Disney CEO and recent Elon Musk bitch-slapping victim Bob Iger said, quote, "Hey, you bigots, I will have you know that wasn't a man at all. That is the beautiful, hairy, bearded trans woman who works the front door down at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. We promise to do a better job in the future of making sure she keeps her dress on and doesn't wave her beautiful, magnificent girl penis in the faces of any more park visitors," end quote. Dateline London, Tuesday, 28 November. Professional British pool player Lynn Pinchas caused a firestorm of controversy this week when she refused to contest the final match of the English Pool Association's 2023 Champion of Ladies Champions tournament upon being informed that her opponent was going to be a dude. Sorry, I meant to say a strong, powerful, brave trans woman who got to the final by having a very impressive stick and balls. And he's pretty good at pool, too. Sorry, she's pretty good at pool. There I go again with my virulent, disgusting homophobia. I promise to do better in the future, folks. According to a report from the New York Post, Pinchas and her beautiful trans woman opponent first lagged for the break, and upon winning, Pinchas promptly shook the dude's hand, the lady's hand, and walked away from the table, signaling her unwillingness to play the final of a women's tournament against a male opponent. A strong, beautiful trans woman opponent. And how did the strong, beautiful trans woman advance to the final in the first place? Well, by two other women refusing to compete in the quarterfinal and semifinal rounds, respectively. So stunning, so brave. Dateline, New York City, Wednesday, 29 November. Idiot pro-terrorism activists attempted to disrupt the traditional lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree on Wednesday, declaring in one strong, unified voice, "From the river to the sea, we have no idea what the catchphrases we chant actually mean because we're a bunch of fucking retards." Waving Palestinian flags and signs with slogans like "End the genocide in Gaza," the idiot protesters gathered along 6th Avenue alongside crowds of tourists and locals who just wanted to innocently watch a goddamn Christmas tree lighting with their families like normal people. The disruption came only days after other idiot protesters, or maybe it was the same idiot protesters, who the hell knows, disrupted the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade by blocking floats, gluing themselves to the street, smearing fake blood all over each other, and pretty much every other thing that people can do when they wish to signal to the entire world that, yes, we are idiots. Dateline, Boulder, Colorado, Thursday, 30 November. Sports Illustrated earned the mockery of pretty much everyone this week after the announcement that their 2023 Sportsman of the Year, Sports Person of the Year is Deion Sanders? Now, for those fans keeping score at home, Sanders, or Coach Prime as he is lovingly known by the intrepid journalists in the national sports media, finished his first year as the head coach of the Buffaloes with a record of 4-8, including a 1-8 record in the conference and losses in 9 of his last 10 games. And for good measure, 4 of his starting offensive players have already announced that they're transferring out of the program. According to the screamingly hilarious puff piece article that accompanied the totally undeserved award, Sports Illustrated said, quote, "In less than a year, Coach Prime has not only transformed a moribund Colorado football program, he has also breathed life into the campus and transformed a community," end quote. And they raise a couple of fair points here, because he did transform a moribund program. He took it from being moribund to being dead. And as far as transforming a community, I'm not even sure what that means exactly. But then I am not a fancy professional sports journalist, so I better just leave these things to the experts. Reached for comment, the head coach of the Washington Generals said, quote, "Well, I never really pictured being in the running for Sportsman of the Year, since our team has lost every game it's ever played since the start of recorded history. But if this is the new standard, I think I kind of like my chances for next year," end quote. Dateline, the 7th Circle of Hell, Friday, 1 December. The rapper Lil Nas X, whose recent exploits include wearing a lady's ball gown to some lame awards show, giving a satanic-themed live performance accompanied by goat-horned backup dancers at some other lame awards show, having simulated gay sex on the Saturday Night Live stage during what turned out to be the lowest-rated ever episode in the 618-year history of that series, and launching a line of athletic shoes supposedly containing the blood of virgins or some shit like that. He says he is now entering the Christian era of his music career. Reached for comment, Bob Dylan said, quote, "Don't do it, kid. It ain't worth it. I still haven't lived down my Christian era. Probably never will. But hey, at least I only went from Jewish to Christian and not from goat-horned, gay, devil-worshipping, blood-drinking Satanist to Christian. So your mileage may vary, I guess," end quote. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your Decline of Western Civilization news roundup for the final week of November, with a little tiny smidgen of December right at the end. And with that, we send it over to my illustrious co-host, winner of this year's Large Furry Hominid of the Year award from Cryptozoology Illustrated, your friend and mine, the one and only Mr. Caucasian Sasquatch.
Absolutely, dude. I just did a swimsuit cover. How'd you know? That's not supposed to be released for another
I got the
week.
poster on my wall already. You shitting me?
I thought I felt something sticky. How are we doing tonight, folks? Welcome to the Blast Radius, where we basically speak about things that have already taken place and would change absolutely nothing. We have no way of judging our success or failure, and we really don't care whether you like it or not. But it would be nice if y'all stick around long enough to hit some of those buttons and do some of those YouTube things. You know how that
including
works.
the super chat button. I'm just saying.
Hey, yes, sir. All right, so what are we going through tonight? We have a trailer for a new movie. We're not going to say what it is yet, but we'll get there. If you check the description, you might figure it out. I forgot to undo the banner. Is it that one? No, it's not that one. No, it's this one. This is the one that matters.
Oh yeah, I saw that and I didn't act on it.
This is where that goes. Hashtag just saying there. So you have a thing that you've been talking about redoing.
I do.
You did it on what, like,
and I put it in the description,
like episode 64, 68 or something.
50, all the way back in episode 50, back when dinosaurs walked the earth, and I didn't even have a teleprompter yet. And I've been meaning to do it again since it's, let's face it, it's one of the greatest speeches ever uttered from the mouth of any man. So yeah. Well, like I would give this speech anytime somebody wanted me to give it. It's a really just a delicious thing, a thing of beauty, something you could only get from General George Patton. Is that what we're going to do right now? Because I'm gonna fix my background if we're going straight to it.
I actually saved the nuke dropping for after the Patton speech. I figured that would be suiting.
Oh yeah, that's
all right.
Good
so
call.
I'm going to tell a bad joke. You get your stuff fixed.
Go for it.
Button. Let's try it the other way. All right. So this past week I spent on Edisto on vacation, right? And I met up with Harry Nuts over there, and we went fishing. We spent about 5 hours out on a boat together. He didn't kill me, and I'm absolutely amazed. My body wasn't fed to the fishes. I'm not currently still there drowning or nothing. And we had an absolute moribund time. No, that's not right. We had an excellent time. It was fantastic. Did you know that Harry Nuts is actually 4 inches taller than me? He's a big boy. Let me tell you. Oh, you ready? You ready?
Just about. You can finish the joke.
That was the wrong button. Is this actually no? Okay. My computer.
I got to grab another beer anyway. Give me just a sec.
Yeah, go grab you a beer. We'll get back to it. My computer just froze up for a second. I wonder if it's actually working. All right, so we're out there doing the whole fishing thing, and I looked over at Captain Jimmy, the guy who's running the boat, and I'm like, you know, I had been just fighting with this leader the whole time. He's got like a deep sea, not a deep sea rig, but like a tidal rig leader on it. It's like 3 or 4 foot long, and I'm used to like little tiny leaders. Anyway, I'm out there fighting with it like a 5-year-old autistic child having a conniption fit. And he points out, he's like, you know, Sasquatch, every time you're telling a joke when you cast, you cast flawlessly. Harry looks over at me and goes, no, he's right. He's like, if you're actually telling a story when you cast it, you just cast, you don't even bat an eye. You just backhand it over there like it's the most natural thing on earth. So I look over at Captain Jimmy and I go, hey man, you know, these fish keep biting my minnow. Can you give me something that fish won't bite? He's like, yeah, man, I got you. And he hooked up the thing on it. And it was this little blue shrimp thing with some kind of weird glistening stuff in it. And he's like, nothing bites that. And I bumped Harry and went, watch this retarded stuff. Zzz, kabloop. And the cork never even broke the surface. It got picked up by a fish and run off. And I reeled him in, leaned over, and whispered to Captain Jimmy, said, man, you got your fish all trained queer. And I thought that man was going to fall in the water. Training fish. You ready?
Training fish. I am ready indeed.
Bingo.
Be seated. Men, this stuff that some sources sling about America not wanting to be in this war, not wanting to fight, it's a crock of bullshit. Americans love to fight, traditionally. All real Americans love the sting and clash of battle. You are here today for 3 reasons. First, because you are here to defend your homes and your loved ones. Second, you are here for your own self-respect, because you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Third, you are here because you are real men, and all real men like to fight. When you hear every one of you were kids, you all admired the champion marble player, the fastest runner, the toughest boxer, the big league ball players, the all-American football players. Americans love a winner. Americans will not tolerate a loser. Americans despise cowards. Americans play to win all of the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. That's why Americans have never lost nor will ever lose a war, for the very idea of losing is hateful to an American. You are not all going to die. Only 2% of you right here today would die in a major battle. Death must not be feared. Death in time comes to all men. Yes, every man is scared in his first battle. If he says he's not, he's a liar. Some men are cowards, but they fight the same as the brave men, or they get the hell slammed out of them watching men fight who are just as scared as they are. The real hero is the man who fights even though he is scared. Some men get over their fright in a minute under fire. For some, it takes an hour. For some, it takes days. But a real man will never let his fear of death overpower his honor, his sense of duty to his country, and his innate manhood. Battle is the most magnificent competition in which a human being can indulge. It brings out all that is best and removes all that is base. Americans pride themselves on being he-men, and they are he-men. Remember that the enemy is just as frightened as you are, and probably more so. They are not supermen. All through your army careers, you men have bitched about what you call chicken shit drilling. That, like everything else in this army, has a definite purpose. That purpose is alertness. Alertness must be bred into every soldier. I don't give a fuck for a man who's not always on his toes. You men are veterans, or you wouldn't be here. You are ready for what's to come. A man must be alert at all times if he expects to stay alive. If you're not alert, sometime a German son of an asshole bitch is going to sneak up behind you and beat you to death with a sock full of shit. There are 400 neatly marked graves somewhere in Sicily, all because one man went to sleep on the job. But they're German graves because we caught that bastard asleep before they did. An army is a team. It lives, sleeps, eats, and fights as a team. This individual heroic stuff is pure horse shit. The bilious bastards who write that kind of stuff for the Saturday Evening Post don't know any more about real fighting under fire than they know about fucking. We have the finest food, the finest equipment, the best spirit, and the best men in the world. What? By God, I actually pity those poor sons of bitches we're fighting against. By God, I do. My men don't surrender. And I don't want to hear of any soldier under my command being captured unless he has been hit. Even if you are hit, you can still fight back. That's not just bullshit either. The kind of man that I want in my command is just like the lieutenant in Libya, who, with a Luger against his chest, jerked off his helmet, swept the gun aside with one hand, and busted the hell out of that kraut with his helmet. Then he jumped on the gun and went out and killed another German before they knew what the hell was coming off. And all of that time, this man had a bullet through his lung. Now there was a real man. All of the real heroes are not storybook combat fighters either. Every single man in this army plays a vital role. Don't ever let up. Don't ever think that your job is unimportant. Every man has a job to do, and he must do it. Every man is a vital link in the great chain. What if every truck driver suddenly decided that he didn't like the whine of those shells overhead, turned yellow, and jumped headlong into a ditch? The cowardly bastard could say, hell, they won't miss me. I'm just one man in thousands. But what if every man thought that way? Where in the hell would we be now? What would our country, our loved ones, our homes, even the world be like? No, goddammit, Americans don't think like that. Every man has a job. Every man serves the whole. Every department, every unit is important in the vast scheme of this war. The ordnance men are needed to supply the guns and machinery of war to keep us rolling. The quartermaster is needed to bring up food and clothes because where we are going, there isn't a whole hell of a lot to steal. Every last man on KP has a job to do, even the one who heats our water to keep us from getting the GI shits. Each man must not think only of himself, but also of his buddy fighting beside him. We don't want yellow cowards in this army. They should be killed off like rats. If not, they will go home after this war and breed more cowards. The brave men will breed more brave men. Kill off the goddamn cowards, and we will have a nation of brave men. One of the bravest men that I ever saw was a fellow on top of a telegraph pole in the midst of a furious firefight in Tunisia. I stopped and asked what the hell he was doing up there at a time like that. He answered, "Fixing the wire, sir." I asked, "Isn't that a little unhealthy right about now?" He answered, "Yes, sir, but the goddamn wire's got to be fixed." I asked, "Don't those planes strafing the road bother you?" And he answered, "No, sir, but you sure as hell do." Now there was a real man, a real soldier. There was a man who devoted all he had to his duty, no matter how seemingly insignificant his duty might appear at the time, no matter how great the odds. And you should have seen those trucks on the road to Tunisia. Those drivers were magnificent all day and all night. They rolled over those sons of a bitchin' roads, never stopping, never faltering from their course, with shells bursting all around them all the time. We got through on good old American guts. Many of those men drove for over 40 consecutive hours. Those men weren't combat men, but they were soldiers with a job to do. They did it, and in one hell of a way they did it. They were part of a team. Without team effort, without them, the fight would have been lost. All of the links in the chain pulled together, and the chain became unbreakable. Don't forget, you men don't know that I am here. No mention of that fact is to be made in any letters. The world is not supposed to know what the hell happened to me. I'm not supposed to be commanding this army. I'm not even supposed to be here in England. Let the first bastards to find out be the goddamn Germans. Someday, I want to see them raise up on their piss-soaked hind legs and howl, "Jesus Christ, it's the goddamn Third Army again and that son of a fucking bitch Patton. We want to get the hell over there. The quicker we clean up this goddamn mess, the quicker we can take a little jaunt against the purple pissing Japs and clean out their nest too, before the goddamn Marines get all the credit. Sure, we want to go home. We want this war over with. The quickest way to get it over is to go get the bastards who started it. The quicker they are whipped, the quicker we can go home. The shortest way home is through Berlin and Tokyo. And when we get to Berlin, I am personally going to shoot that paper-hanging son of a bitch Hitler, just like I would shoot a snake. When a man is lying in a shell hole, if he just sits there all day, a German will get to him eventually. The hell with that idea. The hell with taking it. My men don't dig foxholes. I don't want them to. Foxholes only slow up an offensive. Keep moving. And don't give the enemy time to dig them either. We'll win this war, but we'll win it only by fighting and showing the Germans that we've got more guts than they have or will ever have. And we're not just going to shoot the sons of bitches. We are going to rip out their living goddamn guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to murder those lousy Hun cocksuckers by the bushel fucking basket. War is a bloody killing business. You've got to spill their blood or they will spill yours. Rip them up the belly. Shoot them in the guts. When shells are hitting all around and you wipe the dirt off your face and realize that instead of dirt, it's the blood and guts of what was once your best friend beside you, you'll know what to do. Now, I don't want to get any messages saying I am holding my position. We are not holding a goddamn thing. Let the Germans do that. We are advancing constantly, and we are not interested in holding on to anything except the enemy's balls. We are going to twist his balls and kick the living shit out of him all the time. Our basic plan of operation is to advance and to keep on advancing, regardless of whether we have to go over, under, or through the enemy. We are going to go through him like crap through a goose, like shit through a tin horn. From time to time, there will be some complaints that we are pushing our people too hard. I don't give a good goddamn about such complaints. I believe in the old and sound rule that an ounce of sweat will save a gallon of blood. The harder we push, the more Germans we kill. The more Germans we kill, the fewer of our men will be killed. Pushing means fewer casualties. I want you all to remember that. Now, there is one great thing that you men will be able to say after this war. and you're home again. You may be thankful that 20 years from now, when you're sitting by the fireplace with your grandson on your knee, and he asks what you did in the Great World War II, you won't have to cough, shift him to the other knee, and say, well, your granddaddy shoveled shit in Louisiana. No, sir. You can look him straight in the eye and say, son, your granddaddy rode with the Great Third Army and a son of a goddamn bitch named Georgie Patton. All right, you sons of bitches. You know how I feel. I'll be proud to lead you wonderful guys in battle anytime, anywhere. That's all. General George S. Patton, Brighton, England, 5 June, 1944.
Tactical nuke incoming!
God damn, stirring, brother.
God, I love that speech.
That is good stuff. I'm still waiting to be taken down by YouTube, but it hadn't happened so far.
We'll see. Makes me want to go fight those cocksucking Hun bastards.
Right? Dude, that was good stuff. I got to ask you a question, though.
Okay.
It's been bothering me since that very beginning bit. Moribund.
Moribund means near death and certain to die.
I know what it means, but I'm just saying, which one of those freaking lily-livered, lap-lasted bastards came up with that word from their speak and spell is what I'm questioning. You know they went to the thesaurus.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's not a word they would know without a thesaurus. I'm with you there. Hi, Queen Bird. Great to see you.
Queen Bird's in chat. It's good to see you, girl. Welcome in.
Indeed.
All right, so our next bit, to kind of try to keep the place lively and not let my voice go out before this is all done. That was actually, I really dug that. I've only read excerpts of that speech and very, very well sanitized excerpts, apparently. That was fiery. And I bet he did it
like we were talking about backstage, there's actually quite a few different versions of that speech that you'll find when you look for it, because he gave it a little bit differently each time he gave it. I think he gave it about 5 or 6 times in every day of the week leading up to D-Day. And of course, like he mentions in the speech, nobody is allowed to mention it in their letters home because it's supposed to be a mystery to the Germans where Patton actually is. And so the only transcripts that we have of it are the contemporaneous notes that were taken by whatever journalists happened to be present on the given day. So there's not really a definitive version of the text per se, but this was the most expansive and vulgar and unredacted and you know, the longest and dirtiest version I could find. Let's just put it that way.
The mostest verbatimist you could find. I got you. I think we all got you. All right. So our next page that we're going to turn may well get us yeeted like right out the box. So we're going to sit here and banter for the next 2 minutes and let them wonder what it is that it's going to be. What do you think?
Trigger warning, trigger warning.
Yeah. We're going to, fair warning to you folks, you fine, lovely folks out there in YouTube land. This one's, well, the most verbatimist. Yeah. I invent things sometimes. This one, actually, I thought it was a joke when the first time I saw something about Lady Ballers. I totally thought it was a meme. I thought it was a complete joke. I thought it was going to be like one of those a real TV things where it's where it's a bunch of guys that have to dress up as girls and compete in girly type things, just for 10
or like
or something like real world,
like a trailer for a movie that doesn't actually exist. But the movie really does exist, and thank God it does exist, because this movie needs to exist.
So the first time I watched the trailer was when Kat asked me, he said something about doing a discussion on it. And then when I looked, I was like, Are you serious? This is real. So without further ado, that's what we've got happening over here. And we're going to do it full on the right
Lady
way.
ballers in the hizzy.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed, the Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Let's get to chase. I know you're not a woman.
You know how he identifies.
If you can beat them,
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the global games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join me.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach, Alex, we could play basketball.
We have to get the whole team back together.
It's time
We're in.
I'm in. I'm in.
to play
Lady Ballers.
Man up.
like a girl.
Guess what? I'm with her. I'm in my room. This is my room.
From heroes
Day one of being a girl athlete. I love being a girl.
to sheroes.
We could dominate every woman's sport. Running, swimming, soccer. I said sport, Felix. It's ladies basketball, boys. Nobody watches. Excuse me. Are these seats open? Never mind.
Getting dunks and tucking trunks.
No, she didn't. That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
I don't care.
Lady ballers.
Now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
Streaming exclusively on Daily Wire Plus December 1st.
I watched it earlier today, and just beautiful. And in case anyone's wondering why Jeremy Boring, who is the CEO and co-founder of the Daily Wire, is playing the lead role in this picture, it's not just out of some sense of self-aggrandizement. He did it because he could not get any actor to take the role. He tried everybody he knew. I mean, not just woke leftist actors, but even actors who are secretly closeted conservatives. He couldn't get anybody to touch the thing. Everybody was like, no, I can't do that picture. I'll never work again. Are you kidding me? So yeah, Jeremy Boring winds up having to basically do the Kevin Smith and Clerks things and be the director and the co-writer and the lead actor. And, you know, he does pretty well, all things considered. I got to say, better than I would have expected, especially the acting part.
I'm not even joking. Up until about 45 minutes ago, I totally thought that was just a made up thing that some YouTubers got together and did. And I'm utterly tickled. Absolutely. I'm utterly tickled. Absolutely pink that's a real thing. Because I do believe I have a future in the NBA, the WNBA.
Yep. And it's a good and funny picture. The sad thing is that it actually has to fall all the way to somebody like the Daily Wire to make this movie that needed to be made probably 7, 8, 10 years ago. Because let's face it, let's call things what they are. Comedy is supposed to be and used to be one of our most important societal and cultural guardrails. When the people in charge, when their ideas get too absurd and too ridiculous. We're supposed to have comedians and satirists to keep them in check, to make things that call attention and mockery and derision to the absurdity that the people in charge are engaging in. And then the people in charge say, well, we don't like being mocked, so we're going to stop doing the absurd thing. But that guardrail is completely gone now.
That's not how that works. Nowadays they say we don't like being mocked, so we're going to call up the social media giants and ask them to purge all mention of such things.
Yep, and that's another aspect of it. And but I think when you go back in time, there are a few really good, useful, instructive illustrations of how this thing goes. Let's go back to 1974, for example. In 1974, for the last 20 or 30 years, the Western was the dominant genre in Hollywood, and it was getting played out and formulaic and cookie cutter assembly line. You know, the movies were getting worse and worse and worse. And along comes Mel Brooks with a movie called Blazing Saddles that sends up and satirizes how ridiculous Westerns have become. And he does it so well that there's no big budget Western made in Hollywood for the next decade, all the way until 1985. And then, not just Westerns either, but for the second half of the 1970s, the disaster movie. Think about how big and dominant the disaster movie genre was in Hollywood between 1975 and 80. You've got, Airport, Towering Inferno, each of which spawned countless sequels and imitators. And then what happens in 1980? A picture called Airplane comes along and just totally decimates the entire disaster picture genre and puts it in its grave just by illustrating how totally ridiculous it's become. But you're not allowed to make pictures like that anymore, because not only has Hollywood become completely and totally ideologically driven, but it's an industry that has lost all ability and inclination to poke fun at itself, even if there's money to be made in poking fun at itself. So that's where we are now. And so it falls all the way to the guys at the Daily Wire to make this movie that somebody like Mel Brooks should have made years ago.
You're not wrong. People have become so freaking so sensitive about every subject under the sun. There is no thing new under the sun. And you can bet that a joke has already been told about it, and in worse color than you yourself can come up with. And trust me, I've tried. The absolute most offensive joke I have personally come up with is this one. How many Bantu tribemen does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
1. Are you a racist? And it's the simplest joke on earth, and it really, really offends racists because they suddenly realize, wait, I am. Or they just look at you and get mad and tell you that you're racist for telling a non-racist joke. I don't understand people in general.
And there's a lot of idiot Hollywood types who right now, if they were listening to us, they'd say, wait, that's not true. We still make comedy. And bullshit. You don't. Because when the starting point of your comedy is we can't offend this protected group or this protected group or this protected group or this protected group, you are not making comedy. You're making ideologically driven codswallop.
It's just drivel, because taking an old story, changing the name, changing the gender, changing the race, and swapping the hair color does not make it a new story. And as we can see with Snow White, if you remove every detail of a story just to get your narrative across, you will destroy your own fan club.
And if your leading actress goes on a campaign of destruction against the original movie that you're remaking, that doesn't help very much either. Oh my God, it was made in 1937. It's so gross. Ew.
Okay, well, I mean, there's a lot of
and
really
the prince is such a stalker. Yeah.
That you could lay up on there, because I mean, like you said, the prince is such a stalker. He does come in and kind of accost a sleeping woman. Furthermore, it's a chick shacked up with 7 dudes. I mean, that's made perfectly clear that she stumbled across in the woods randomly and occasionally bring her home jewels and gems that they find in the mine while singing hi ho.
Right. And when you transform all of those 7 little people into just full-size dudes, that aspect of the story becomes even more problematic for my money, because why is this unmarried woman living with single unmarried seven single unmarried men? Snow White and the 7 sex traffickers, anyone?
I mean, she was put out of her house because why? Because she was prettier. She was released by what? I think I'm mixing metaphors over here again. That's not going to work.
I got it, guys. We'll make a version of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs in which she's not white and there's no dwarfs. It'll be great.
Here's what we should do. We should make a version where Snow White's a man. There's like this big buff transgender dude. I'm talking Macho Man Randy Savage is a woman.
I got it. Leah Thomas is Snow White. Boom. Start printing the money.
Right? I'll give you the address. We can just route it right through my mailbox. Listen.
And let me keep going. Admiral Danglin Dick Levine plays the fairy godmother.
Oh, that's excellent. And as far as the 7 dwarves go, we can pretty much just take a page straight out of the Willow handbook and just change all their names, all their occupations, and leave them dwarves, because that's just funny.
And I'm sure all of the dwarf, midget, little person actors were really thrilled that Peter Dinklage talked a bunch of shit about Snow White, and they decided to make all the dwarves not dwarfs. And so those 7 coveted roles no longer went to the people who are best suited for them. And that must have really made a lot of little actors very, very happy indeed.
Perhaps they were dwarf giants. Hi ho, hi ho. I brought you another.
Hey, Peter Dinklage actually was a dwarf giant in Avengers Infinity War, if you remember.
Yeah, right. I saw that.
20 foot tall dwarf, baby.
That just tickles my pickle so hard it makes it itch. Okay, I got a reaction to the trailer we just watched. Homie over here seems to be a somewhat center of the road kind of feller. He's not too far outside of he's not a nut job as far as I can tell. I looked at a few of his videos.
Yeah, let's watch.
Where women's sports is being transformed. The Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Okay.
Damn.
Oh my God.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Damn. First of all, I don't know how that didn't hurt him, but look at all those badges. It's crazy that people actually dress like this. They really
they call it virtue signaling.
I went to school with that
direction. Trust me.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
How
dare
he
you?
identifies.
How dare you?
You can beat them.
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
No way, that's
This
Matt
is the way
Walsh.
the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court.
So let me point out this absolutely epic board that they had to create to get it across to all the guys here that it was not
with the red strings and everything, just like it's freaking CSI.
Exactly. Well, no, he explained it to them, but they didn't get it. So he wrote it down on the whiteboard, and they looked at each other and said, "Oh, that just seems wrong." So he connected the strings and went and got the little girl to come in and explain the last little bit of it. And they went, wait. You mean we can just win?
Yeah. And the serious point is, even though it is funny and hilarious and absurd, That is the kind of shit that little kids are actually being taught in schools today.
Oh,
In
dude,
complete seriousness.
I had a full-blown discussion with somebody the other day who was upset that certain books were being removed from schools in Texas. And I went and checked out the list of books and started reading off the titles.
Yeah, gay
And
porn 1, gay porn 2, gay porn 3.
I can't remember the titles. I think maybe my brain has blocked them.
I bet genderqueer was one of them. I bet lawn boy was one of them.
There's
a set of about 10 or 20 books that all of these crazy sex perverts are trying to get into every public school library from sea to shining sea.
There were a few there, though, that at first glance, I was like, well, why would you remove that? But then after thinking on it for a minute, I was like, well, as long as it's available in the public library, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the school library. If you can access it or get access to it in other ways. And a public library is exactly what that type of stuff is for, right?
Yes. And you raise a salient point, because there is a lot of obfuscation being attempted on that point, like as though an elementary school library is supposed to abide by exactly the same standards of inclusion as a public library, and that's madness. That's completely insane.
And I set fire to that straw man right out the box. I was like, there's a time and place for things, and that falls under the time and place, or what is it, place and manner?
Yeah.
Statute.
And public school libraries are supposed to contain books that are enriching to children, and not how to give a blowjob to an old man.
Unless you want to read Heinlein, and then they'll pretty much tell you both. You know,
you raise a fair point.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't want Heinlein removed from schools, but then again, I wouldn't want it in like anything. Elementary would be sketchy at best. I don't think it should be in elementary school libraries. High school libraries, okay. And the full gambit of books that they're all concerned about, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with in a high school library where children wouldn't come across it. But the thing is, these things are directly derived to children. They're created specifically for the consumption by children, as if they were a Sesame Street add-on, and they're not.
And let's face it, if you think kids reading Huckleberry Finn is problematic, but you're fine with instructions on how to give a blowjob to an old man, you're a sick fucking freak. I'm sorry. There's just no other way to put that. Just stay away from the kids, man.
I think that's where we get the Catholic priest out to bless the wood chipper. Physical
changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach, Alex, we could play basketball.
We're in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Man up.
Like a girl.
That's what I'm with her.
Oh, man.
This is my
Day one of being a girl athlete.
And this is the world that little girls are being told they have to live in.
I'm sorry. Well, I was giggling too hard. I didn't hear you.
No, and again, you know, the absurdity of it is the fact that it is so close to reality. That you know, young adult and girl kid athletes being told that they have to compete against males and they are not allowed to complain or say anything about it, and they have to undress in the locker room with them and the whole 9 yards. It's females are not allowed to have female only spaces anymore, as long as some male sex pervert announces that he's a chick and wants to go dressed in the ladies' locker room, and you have to just accept it, and your parents have to accept it. And everybody knows this is a fucking sex pervert that wants to look at chicks who are naked. I mean, come on, man.
If it works for the president, I don't know what to tell you, man. What a world, what a timeline we've ended up in, man.
But it's a thing. It's a thing that it's. I'm afraid it is too late for it to be put a stop to just by being mocked and satirized. Maybe if it had started 7 or 8 or 10 years ago, there was a chance. But now the only way to end it is for female athletes to refuse to compete against males. Otherwise, if they keep going along with it, 10 years from now, every individual record in women's sports will be owned by a man. Mark my words.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is where me and my illustrious host differ. I believe that the harder they push and the further they push that pendulum, the more of a glorious downfall such bullshit will take. And it will go down as the most heinous period, a dark age of human evolution in sports.
Oh, it absolutely will.
Much as the fall of Rome.
People in 100 years are going to look back at us and just face palm over why we allowed this to take place as a society. And we won't still be around, but if we were, we wouldn't have a good answer.
You remember the asterisk?
The
asterisk in baseball. They added an asterisk because
the Henry Aaron asterisk.
Some people might have been juicing.
Oh, that asterisk. Yeah, there's different asterisks, I guess, because the first one was for Henry Aaron.
Right.
Because they didn't want the home run record taken away from Babe Ruth, so they put an asterisk next to Henry Aaron's record. Or no, what am I talking about? It was Roger Maris. Maris hit 61 in a 162 game season, whereas Ruth had hit 60 in a 154 game season. So they put an asterisk next to Maris so that Ruth could still have the record.
He had 8 or 9 more games.
Yeah, 8 more.
Right. Okay. So what are we going to use to let people know what happened during this time period when every single female sports gets blown out by transgender athletes? Mark my words, if they push long enough, you will have a literal depiction of this movie taking place. And I'm absolutely amazed it hasn't already happened. And
I know. If there is another Mel Brooks out there today, we will never know it, because Mel Brooks couldn't have a movie career today because satire is not allowed.
Yeah, no,
and the only people you're allowed to make jokes about are white male conservatives, and that doesn't lead to a very good world of comedy, I'm afraid.
Well, until you can make fun of yourself without rendering yourself in tears, it serves no purpose to make fun of other people. While sometimes humor does deprecate, every aspect of it is self-deprecating. You can't joke about something that doesn't have a chance to hurt you in the first place.
Yes. And also, sometimes the most uproariously funny things are the most important pieces of social commentary. And that's another thing where we can go back to the example of Blazing Saddles, because Blazing Saddles wasn't just a send up of the Western film genre. It was also a mockery of racism, and it was very important in that way. And it caused a lot of people to think, yeah, maybe racism really is absurd. And it was a ridiculous, absurdist, satirical comedy that actually did some good in the world.
Agreed. It's one thing. It's really hard to justify saying that it is an offensive movie when you can sit down with any group of people whatsoever and discuss Blazing Saddles, and they will all talk about different parts of the movie, equally funny, equally ironic, equally satirical, and everyone remembers the same parts. One of my favorites. Nothing wrong.
And there is absolutely no group of people that existed in 1974 that escaped that movie without being mocked. And that's
this dude took a bunch of Jewish guys, stuck them on horses, put feathers in their hair, and had them speak Hebrew or Yiddish instead of Navajo. Not because
they darker than we are.
Yeah, exactly. Not because they couldn't afford it, but because it's funny. It's
Yes.
hilarious.
Yep. Yeah. And it is funny and topical and incisive, and you're not allowed to do that anymore.
If you tried to do that today, you'd be canceled before it ever even got off the ground.
Which is part of the larger death of cinema. And you know, speaking of, like we named a couple examples before, like, you know, westerns were largely played out by the time of Blazing Saddles. The disaster genre was largely played out by the time of Airplane. And also, even a more recent example in the early 2000s, where those dumb, you know, pop teen horror movies where they were just churning them out one after the other, and the response is the Scary Movie franchise,
which turned the page on the whole concept.
Yeah, and those pictures were hilarious because they were true, because they were sending up a thing that needed to be sent up. And now, how long has the superhero genre been the dominant one in Hollywood? And there has been no superhero movie, except I guess
a couple of spoofs.
I guess The Boys is kind of a dark superhero satire, but there hasn't been, you know, something in the Mel Brooks school that has sent up that genre in the way that it needs to be.
I can't remember the name of the freaking movie. I think it's Not Another Superhero Movie is what they named it, something like that. Not a superhero movie, maybe, but it is directly.
Oh yeah, you may be right. I think I did hear of that.
Everything you're talking about doing, it's just none of it is revolutionary. None of it is page turning. None of it advances the plot of the universe in any way. It's not groundbreaking like a Mel Brooks film would be, but it does poke all the soft spots and a few of the tickly ones. It's pretty good. I was tickled by the whole thing because of exactly how irreverently they tackled it. You know. All right, so we got another segment over here, right? And wrong button. We're going to do it right there. It's okay. We can do this. So these are various triggered woke liberals crying bigotry over this particular movie being made. Shall we?
Queen Bird, you raise an outstanding point. There is no Sam Kinison, no Andrew Dice Clay anymore, and we desperately need them.
People like us are the closest thing you have to
people like us are the closest thing there is, and that's sad.
That is just, oh my God, it makes me just want every day I just get closer to taking aim with my freaking toaster, dude. I pray for an asteroid on my knees every night before I lay down to bed, because I do not like this.
Just like making lady ballers shouldn't fall to the lady wire, doing all this comedy shouldn't fall to me and you. But if the mantle falls to us, we will accept it.
Just like Patton said, do the job.
Yep.
Just don't worry about the rest of it. There's no such thing as heroism here. You see what happens when you run above the lines, boys. When you go across no man's land by yourself, you take a bullet, and it's not for the home team. We have to do this together as a unified front. We have to laugh at all of them uproariously at all times. Even if they might make a salient point, don't let that bar your sense of humor. Laugh at them anyway. I'm sorry.
When you're wiping your best friend's guts off your face, you'll know what to do.
Laugh harder, damn it. Get some dipping sauce. I don't know, man. Let's do this thing.
Daily Wire is putting out its first comedy movie. Yay. A right-wing media organization that is so obsessed with trans people put together a transphobic comedy. I'm using heavy air quotes there. The story centers around a male basketball team who poses as women in order to compete in and win women's sports. Trailer is pretty devoid of jokes, and Ted Cruz makes a cameo. That old gut buster. Funniest guy around. Is
pause it for a sec.
Done in a way less offensive way.
Bear in mind that anybody who is doing a review of this movie had to buy a Daily Wire membership in order to see it. Either that or they pirated it, and I guess they can take their pick.
She did not watch the movie. She watched the trailer and has judged everything based off of the fact that it was made by the Daily Wire, which, from our quote on entrance, The right wing just has no sense of humor.
It's a well-known fact that right-wingers are not capable of humor. Say the people who outlawed comedy.
Right.
Way, hello, she's the man. And just as offensively, in The Ringer. It's so crazy to me that Ben Shapiro is so obsessed with other people's genitalia when his voice sounds like his dropped in.
Wow.
Says the people obsessed. Truly.
And all you've got is just personal mockery and vomiting out catchphrases. Oh, it's so transphobic, and Ben Shapiro is this and this and this. You'll notice there probably won't be anything here calling into question the accuracy of anything in the picture, because the picture is accurate to the real world, and they're not going to say that because they can't.
I have no idea if I can really do a Ben Shapiro voice, but I can attempt to do it. But the main thing you've got to do is speak very quickly and try to get a nasal clear.
Oh, I know. You have to speak even more quickly than I normally do, which is really a task.
I'm from the South, bro.
That would be a good use of the that function I found on my OBS that I was telling you about, where you can speed it up and keep the same tone. I could do a good Shapiro impersonation with that.
I bet you could. I might be able to do it if I drawled everything out slow and then sped it up. That might work.
Yeah. Let's assume that I'm never going to give you up, never going to let you down, and never going to run around and desert you.
They're calling it the most triggering comedy of the year. No one's triggered, man. You're just bad at comedy.
Wouldn't be making this video if you weren't triggered.
You're making a video with 193 cuts in it. Not because you're triggered, but because you're concerned for their well-being.
I am so totally not triggered by this transphobic monstrosity.
193 cuts, bro. She had to go back and refilm every aspect of it. I bet she wrote this whole script out and repeated each line 50 times and then went and edited it together like I do my bad songs.
Yep.
This movie is just another in a line of straight-to-DVD dookie that conservative media is putting out. Apparently, there's an entire cinematic universe just for our racist, homophobic uncles.
All right, guys.
Are you familiar with the Black conservative perspective?
Is that like a channel?
Yeah, no, this is this guy here.
Oh, I don't think so.
All right, so he basically does reaction videos based off of various TikTok stuff that he finds. He approaches it by looking for the most outlandish and absurd reactions to react to, so to speak. And then he clips it up.
There's a plentiful vineyard in which to toil, that's for sure.
It is true. It is true. Many, many bushels of valuable material has been contented on this content. And I have no issues with it because I enjoy it and it's funny to me. And previously, as I said, I was unaware that the movie was a real thing. I thought it was like a postcard for Christmas, like a meme or something. There it is. Big as Billy B. Frigged. And this is the only man in the YouTube verse that I've found that has put together a full compilation of people being triggered by the most triggering movie of the year. And I found that really, really interesting that he's actually put together a reaction to these reactions.
And he did it just for us.
As far as I could tell, because I think we might have been the only ones who looked for it. Because there's only one. So we're going with it. All right.
All right, so we got to talk about the Daily Wire, who is triggering and trolling the woke left,
and I love
with this new comedy movie that they're about to release in a couple days called Lady Ballers. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen the trailer for this movie. It is a movie that basically pokes fun at the idea that society has normalized biological males competing against biological women or females in sports. Okay, it's basically just a comedy, right? I consider this to be the same thing as stand-up. Okay, it's not.
I agree. I have no issue with this movie on any moral stand. I think it's hilarious.
Nor should anyone else.
Because it takes a very serious, hard look at some very serious, hard realities that people are literally dealing with in their daily lives, turns it on its ear, and feeds it back to you spoon-fed. It's brilliant.
You know, women spent 100 goddamn years earning what they've got, and that includes women's sports, and that is all being torn down by dudes in wigs.
It's true.
And that's a serious problem.
I have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with a free sport where you don't have classes, you don't have genders, you don't, you could do a mixed MMA, you could do a mixed type thing and have a totally open field in it, right?
Yeah, and there are some sports where it's always been that way, like equestrian sports, like the show jumping and all that stuff. I think that that's always been open to or no gender segregation, in other words, because there's no intrinsic advantage that males have over females or vice versa, and that's fine. But swimming, running, basketball, not the same thing.
Go find me a male barrel rider.
What's a barrel rider again?
The chick who rides the horse, touches the barrels, and runs in like the clover leaf pattern, touches each one of the barrels where the horse gets as close as she can and runs it as fast as she can. Okay. Find me one man that is doing that. I'll wait. This is a classically female sport. It was something that was brought in primarily because it's something women were better at on horses. Horses and women have always had a thing since the dawn of horse kind. Yeah. Women charmed horses like nobody's business. Most horse
and that goes back tens of thousands of years.
Tens of thousands of years. I would not be surprised if the first horse domesticated was domesticated by an 11-year-old girl. Would not surprise me. And this is a simple fact of life that every cowboy knows. As well as a man can join with a horse in the average day of work, it is nothing compared to the love a horse has for a little girl riding just as hard as she can. And barrel riding is exactly that. And they just do it better. Right? I mean, I don't know. I might have watched a little too much barrel riding in the past.
No, I appreciate the education.
All right, let's see what he has to say about this.
It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's meant for people to just sit back and laugh, okay, and to poke fun at some of the things that, again, happens in our society. But again, that doesn't stop the left from losing their minds and being upset and crying transphobia over this comedy movie, which, again, movies like this have been made before. But I guess in this instance, the Daily Wire is being more direct in regards to making fun of, again, the fact that, this is something that has become normalized in our society. So without further ado, I'm gonna play a little bit of the trailer. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, so you guys can get the gist of kind of what's going on here, and then we're gonna get into some of the reactions from the liberal left. So without further ado, let's get into it.
A world where women's sports is being transformed.
I love me some Riley Gaines, by the way. That is a handsome young woman.
With the most triggering comedy of the year.
Handsome. Yes, sir. Yeah. Ooh, good God, man. Oh, I mean, that's the thing, though, right? Can you imagine men going into lingerie football?
Yeah, I mean, if there's going to be no guardrails, I mean, that's the next frontier, right?
Men and women's volleyball. You know how much injuries would go up?
That's already happening here in California. There's been a few high-profile cases where girls have actually sustained cranial and brain damage by having balls spiked at them by dudes being allowed to play on the girls' team. And
Exactly.
so yeah, people are actually being harmed and grievously injured by this shit. And nobody should be okay with that. Nobody should be okay with it.
No, that's fine on your average hockey team. That's perfectly acceptable on your average football grid.
If you're playing a dangerous sport against people who are evenly matched against you, then part of the game, that's fine. You know, contact sports are dangerous, but you don't ever need a big hulking 200-pound dude spiking a volleyball at a 15-year-old girl. There's nothing brave and stunning and heroic about that. That's horrifying and evil.
I mean, that's really close in my mind to the old holy wood chipper.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
You don't know how he identifies.
If you can beat them.
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the global games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
Join.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bed.
I'm going to be honest, homie don't look like he's really impressed by it. He's even got the lip curl up a little bit.
I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom.
He doesn't like it. You see it, don't you?
Bedroom, I can't believe it. Nice.
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach,
Alex, we could play basketball.
we have to get the whole team back together.
It's time
We're in.
I'm in. I'm in.
to play
Lady Ballers.
Man up.
like a girl.
Guess what? I'm with her.
He still don't like it. He's still got them little wrinkles at the corner of his mouth where he's like smelling something bad.
Yeah, he should be enjoying it more than he is, I think. Also, brief shout out the little girl who plays the daughter, who does all this stuff on the whiteboard. She does a fantastic job in this picture. She is just brilliant.
I think I may very well try to make Wife Squatch sit down and watch it with me tomorrow.
It's worth it. I recommend
We should
it.
do a review of Snow White, of the Daily Wire Snow White. That would be perfect. That would be right up our alley.
Beautiful. Agreed.
Like the
So again, you guys get the gist of what's going on here. I think that this movie looks hilarious, right? I think it's one of those movies that is playfully making fun of something that, again, we see in society. And this is not the first time that we've seen this type of stuff, okay? We've seen plenty of movies that will make fun or poke fun at, you know, stereotypes or, you know, certain things that, you know, we have going on in society.
Wait a second.
And again, there's no...
Yeah, not recently.
Not recently, not really. I mean, you can't even put a Asian guy driving a car with the left blinker on anymore.
Yeah, it's as I was watching this picture today and just laughing my ass off, you know, almost to the point of crying at a couple of junctures. I got to thinking, I can't remember the last time a new movie made me laugh. It's been so long. Have
you seen the Daily Wire Snow White yet?
No.
Okay, don't. Or if you do, let me know when you're going to watch it and we'll cheat.
Copy that.
All right. Sorry, what were you saying? My bad.
I forgot.
Harm meant, right? This is not supposed to be hateful or anything like that. It's a movie. It's a comedy movie. Again, I see this, again, it's the same as stand-up. But when it comes to...
I think this is about the most hateful piece of media that could have been created because it makes specific fun of exactly the type of mentality that every right-minded person, every person out there that believes that sports excellence is determined by a physical or competitive match against fairly matched opponents. You know,
yeah, and you were exactly right, because the idea that that big hulking dudes are allowed to go and compete against little girls, that is a hateful idea. That deserves to be hated, in addition to being mocked and satirized and sent up, because you know who gets screwed is little girls. Stop beating up little girls. Beating up little girls is not cool.
exactly. And that's the only part I really have with it, is that none of this is funny. None of it's funny. They're being absolutely serious 100%, and it's not a lick funny, but it's done in a humorous slant, and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Don't Mess with the Zohan was kind of satirical, but it didn't take a serious look at any particular social or our oppressive overlords. You know, hello, Ajot.
Ajot's here. Hey, Ajot.
So, what I'm getting at is, homeboy over here, Mr. The Black Conservative Perspective, while he's saying the right logical words, his visual response to that didn't jive. He like I said, he looked like he had smelled something bad through the whole bit that he just watched.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him laugh. And this is a hilarious trailer.
He's like, I think this is humorous and it should be funny and everyone should take it as a joke. But that's not the same thing as recognizing the humor yourself.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, just making sure I wasn't. Yeah, all right. I'm not nuts. Gotcha. Maybe I'm nuts, but not about that. I noticed.
No,
that.
yeah, I'm in the car with you, brother.
Stand up. Again, you have certain people that get triggered by jokes. They get triggered by what is clearly something of comedic intent. So with that being said, this is being treated the same way, of course, because again, the liberals are upset with this and they're crying transphobia and bigotry.
Conservatives do not possess the ability to be funny. I mean, I felt this way for a while, but the thought was cemented after I saw that the freaks at the Daily Wire are trying their hand at a comedy movie using their 3 best tactics of racism, misogyny, and homophobia. After seeing the trailer,
racism
was
these people just vomit out words. All they know how to do is vomit out words and catchphrases. Where could you possibly find racism in this movie, you idiot?
Oh, it's because the Ben Shapiro, obviously. I mean, he's white, right? Oh wait, no, he's
all it comes down to is everything I don't like is automatically racist because I said so.
Right.
They tried to make a white supremacist out of Kyle Rittenhouse, for God's sake, for shooting another white guy.
Yeah, as I understand it, he was a Democrat up to that point. I just saying, that's one vote gone, bro.
Seriously. It ain't coming back either.
I wouldn't. I mean, that man did a public service that afternoon, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Why?
I compared him to Audie Murphy.
Wow. Okay. That's
no.
That's
The reason for the comparison was because, you know, in a different time and place, kids like this become our greatest national heroes, and all he was doing, you know, was displaying really the same set of attributes.
And it's funny to me that he didn't display those attributes really up until the balls hit the wall.
Yeah,
he went there to be generally protective of the neighborhood, the businesses.
And was it stupid for him to be there? Sure, it was stupid, but he was there for all the right reasons.
Yep. And I don't know, I may have made a different decision myself at the age of 17, but
I damn sure would have made a different decision, because I don't have that much bravery or stupidity, depending on how you want to categorize it.
I think he might agree that it was a stupid idea to be out there, but he felt it was what he felt like he had to do. And he wasn't out there starting trash. He was out there telling the cops where the fires were and which ones were starting them and that kind of stuff. And they came down on him like a hammer.
Yeah, and he spent the whole previous part of the day rendering medical aid to whoever required medical aid. So, you know, don't
Passing out
try and tell
water.
me this guy is just there to harm and kill people.
Crossing state lines. I'm sorry.
The normal liberal answer to that question is, it's because they're rude and mean and offensive, or they're punching down, whereas good comedians know how to punch up. Which is fair and true in a sense, but I think it goes a little bit further than that. I think the real answer for why these guys aren't funny is because they're dumb and wrong. It's really
No, it's because they're laughing at you and you don't like it.
And
that's exactly it. You don't like it. You don't like it, and you're not willing to eat crow enough to be able to get over it and giggle at yourself because
I don't think that was a funny joke, therefore you're a racist.
Bingo.
Wrong. So their comedy is going to be inherently dumb and wrong as well. For example, the dumb and wrong trope that these conservatives try to use for this entire movie is the idea that these 5 random white men could do anything that a woman could do better just because they're men. Like a normal human.
No, we're just going off of the idea that a group of 14-year-old, Brazilian soccer players completely smoked the champion women's soccer league.
5-1.
Smoked them.
Yep.
That one was probably given over after the coach came to, hey guys, come on, they're ladies, you know.
And this guy is being intentionally disingenuous here because it's not as broad as he's making it. He's not saying nobody's saying that everybody can do everything better. They're saying here's the thing they're specifically saying, which is true. They're saying that a group of random schlubby 30-something-year-old dudes who are physically unexceptional could be a dominant women's basketball team. And there is nothing about that that's untrue.
All right. So I wouldn't necessarily...
I will go win the MVP in the WNBA right now. I'm a 49-year-old 6'2" shooting guard. I will win the MVP.
Bro, that might be worth more than a few thousand followers. You pull that shit off. Go get a boat right goddamn now, bro. You are missing the boat. If you can pull that, I'll sponsor you.
Oh God, you know how big I could blow up if I trans myself? Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, oh my Lord. I got a couple of friends I've been thinking about trouting across over here, just trotting them across, being like, hey, look at these guys. They don't think I'm a total creep, but they kind of do. Right, just march them out, let them turn around a couple of times, get them the fuck off the channel. They watching this right now, I bet you. They just don't chat.
Yeah, I like to imagine that.
Human would look at this gaggle of pasty racists and put money on a JV girls high school basketball team.
Gaggle of pasty racists.
The fact that there's an offensive joke behind all of this that
making
makes
fun
this
of skin color.
Wrong. It's the fact that conservative tropes inherently are dumb and wrong that makes this not funny. So when the basis of your jokes is wrong and dumb, all of the comedy you create is going to be wrong and dumb. And this same linear path follows every single.
Dude's got the whole world figured out, doesn't he?
So I just want to start on the racism.
Hold up. So someone being wrong makes it inherently not funny, even if their wrongness is what's funny.
Yeah, that's I'm having a difficult time getting from point A to point B on that one, dude.
Okay, so explain to me.
What he's saying is the same thing he was saying before. That things I disagree with are automatically unfunny and racist and bigoted.
So why do people laugh in church? That's wrong. It's kind of dumb.
Yep. Nope.
I giggle like a fucking clown. I can't help it. I mean, the preacher man up there saying some pretty funny things. I mean, let's be honest. Like, give me $1 more. Dig deep down into the depths of your pocket. You've got to give till your soul screams. That kind of stuff.
Oh, look at this fucker. He's even got the sanctions on Israel sign in the background. He's signaling all the virtue, isn't he?
I paused it here specifically to point out the posters behind homie before we got started, but you beat me to it. I'm gonna let him go.
He's got his little YouTube plaque.
Yeah, right. Of course he does. I'm pretty sure there's a Che Guevara poster hiding just off camera.
All my ideas are correct, and I've got the YouTube plaques to prove it.
Right?
What a douchebag.
But yeah, that just one scene with them pulling down a black dude's trousers and talking about his like big dick. Nothing like super dehumanizing about that as a punchline to your joke in your movie, which goes in generally with the dehumanization and sexualization of black men in general. And
all right, so we're back to the stereotype problem. It's just we disagree, so it must be racist. Does he think his penis is larger than the random black dude?
And we've got another noble white knight liberal telling black people what they should be offended by. Black men,
Amen.
you should be totally offended by people saying you have gigantic penises.
What if they agree? What if evidence follows it up and we have truth?
Okay, Whitey. Okay, Casper. Tell me what the blacks are supposed to think. Tell me more about how black people should think because you're so non-racist.
Why don't you go lay out in the moon and get you a moonburn, brother?
Brett Cooper and Michael Knowles wearing Native American outfits. Like, I don't really understand what the fuck's going on there. But yeah, the premise is just like really stupid. Like they're talking about like we could dominate all sports just because you're men. It's like, do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of
that was something I meant to bring up a while ago. All right, so the assumption that this is just a group of random dudes that decide to make a team and can totally dominate. That's not the case.
No,
this is a group of men who play basketball every freaking weekend, and and they're down there the whole like. We're not talking seasons here. We're talking
they were
every
the 2008 Tennessee champions.
Wow. So this is. I know I keep repeating it. It's not exactly just a random group of dudes. It's a group of guys who have been playing basketball together for the past 20 years.
And
it's not a random group of guys.
So incredibly disingenuous.
It's like it's they're implying that you went to the local furniture store, gathered up 6 random white guys, put them on the court, and they could dominate. That's what the detractors are saying. That's not the case at all. These are 7 guys who.
If he's making that argument, then he quite obviously has not seen the picture.
Right. He watched the trailer just like everyone else that we saw. And there's another
the trailer, and I'm going to pretend I'm reviewing the whole movie because I'm an idiot douchebag.
And he's broke because he's buying drugs for his 2 boyfriends and his wife.
Right.
It's hard to feed the gravy train, baby. I'm sorry. We're about running out of time. We're down to like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Oh, let's watch a couple more minutes of that, can we?
All right, we'll do that. Skadoosh.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying that actually.
Like, men who took it believe they could return a serve from Serena Williams, and just how much men think of themselves compared to women. And obviously, this trailer is full of misogyny as well because you have that scene of. Looks like student.
Well, wait a second now. That's actually contested.
Remember when the 215th ranked man in the world defeated both Williams sisters and drank a 6-pack of beer and smoked a bunch of fucking cigarettes in between? Yeah, this dude's pretending that never happened. What the hell is wrong with you?
He's not exaggerating.
That happened. God.
Right. Okay.
Athletes who are women all doing shot put, and the random guy. Who's fake being a woman, he can throw it way further. Just
homie throws it like a softball.
Yep. Which a man can do with an 8-pound women's shot put.
Yeah. God forbid. Could you imagine if Andre the Giant had decided to be a professional, like a amateur wrestler instead of professional wrestler? He just dominated it. You couldn't have even had a weight class for him.
Is it bad that I want to punch this guy's face?
I don't think so. I think that it is quite the natural reaction as a red-blooded American.
Okay.
Does
that's
that
all I
make
need.
people specifically better at all sport? I'm trying to look at this. I wouldn't say objectively because on the surface it is like racist, transphobic, misogynistic garbage, right?
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Okay, the left doing what the left does, right? Every single time they have an issue with something, they scream and cry bigotry. Well, it's racist, it's transphobic, it's misogynistic, it's sexist. Bruh, it's a movie, right? It's a comedy movie, right? It's a comedy movie. But again, that does not stop. It does not stop these people from, again, losing their minds and writing articles like this. Like, for example, this one from LGBTQ Nation. It says, right-wingers make a comedy movie attacking trans women in sports, and it looks terrible. So let's read here. The far right and viciously anti-trans Daily Wire has announced its first feature-length comedy film written to mock trans women and girls who are fighting for the right to participate in sports as their gender. A trailer for the film entitled Lady Ballers depicts a group of cisgender men deciding to pretend to be trans women and join a women's basketball league as one team with the intent of dominating the sport. The trailer
is an
calls
incorrect summation of the
the
plot.
most triggering comedy of the year, a derisive reference to the right-wing narrative that progressives are snowflakes who are easily triggered. This is ironic considering that the people at the Daily Wire were so triggered by the existence of trans people that they made an entire movie about something that has never happened.
That's hour and 31.
Yeah. Tell Will Thomas it's never happened.
Right?
Right. Is it time for me to talk us out?
It's that time, bro. Now it's time.
Where does the time
to
go?
say goodbye to all our company. CAP. I can't go any further. I tried. You do it, bro. You got the balls.
Got it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for joining us here on the Blast Radius. As we do so much enjoy having you every week as we navigate this journey through the madness of this society and culture that we're currently stuck with. We will see you next week. Squatch and I will both see you before then, doing whatever we do. Until next time, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Do not comply. Get off our lawn.